Hello, Seattle, and welcome to the Jopra Show. I'm Joe Janot, and you are live on August 30th here, and it's football weekend. It has all begun here in Seattle, and we are going to get down tonight and talk a lot about football, sports, fantasies, and then the big thing, Q, here on the Jopra Show. But first and foremost, got to introduce my main man, Eric Ryder's in the house. Eric, what's happening?
Good afternoon, Joe. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, Eric, doing good. I had a busy weekend, Eric, cutting down trees, and I've come to the conclusion it's just better to pay than to try to cut down trees.
That's a lot of work.
Too much work. I've tried to save myself $400, and I came to the conclusion that was the worst thing I could ever think of to try to save. Just pay. It's much easier. I have this tree at my mom's house leaning right, and as I continued to keep cutting it back and back, it got worse. And, you know, those little pine cones in an afro doesn't go well. They don't get out. And, you know, since I got a nice little 2-inch afro happening right now, you know.
Growing it out, I see.
Well, you know, since the baby's coming, I had to start the afro movement once again.
All right.
So it's on like that. But, you know, it was good. It was a good weekend. I tell you this, if you have been to Mercer Street, you know, they finally opened up the up and down. And I don't know what they were drinking because I'm going to be straight honest here. I'm still in traffic, and it still takes a long time to get from Key Arena down to the Mercer Street Freeway.
But you can go both ways now. Isn't that good?
Didn't you go both ways before?
Not on the same street.
I mean, they need to hire people who think about driving first. Because it's still today, it took me 15 minutes to get down Mercer Street. I mean, I don't know who people at Q hired to do their deal, but they should call the city should call them because they do it right. I mean, should there be an overpass or another tunnel or just something to express me to the freeway? Instead, light after light after light, stop. Stop. People waving at each other. Hey, we're here for another hour. How you been? Good. Isn't this a beautiful $10 million project? Very good.
So they're making the most of it. Time to catch up.
Hey, look, all they did was clean it up. They took down my favorite restaurant, Denny's, and that's all they did was clean it up.
That can't be your favorite restaurant.
No, but I mean, come on. I mean, back in the day, we had some good times there. You know, so I just think that the whole Mercer Street, I mean, if this was what we're doing with all this money, then we got to stop. Some people need to get fired because it's just not working. We're still in traffic, but that's a whole nother day. But then also the weekend was good for me, Eric, because you know what I did? I made some ribs. I mean, after last week when we had the bitter root on, I was in the mood for ribs. So I made my famous sauce. It took 10 hours. And I smoked my ribs, which took 7 hours. And, man, they were just – it was delicious. I forgot how good
That's your whole weekend right there.
That was it.
Where'd you find time to do the tree?
Well, you know, I have to be honest with you. You got up early in the morning before the family got restless, and out the door I went. Mm-hmm. You know, I should have just done one thing. I needed to have a 6-pack of beer and some cigarettes like my dad would have, and, you know, and got angry with the tree. You know, just beat the tree up a little bit. But, you know, that's just how it goes. Interesting news if you haven't heard. My man Chris Hansen, Mr. Supersonic Guy, he bought the Showbox this week. Just said, I'm going to spend a quick $5 million.
The Soto?
The Soto Showbox has been sold. So he took over the whole block. Mm-hmm. He's going to build a new nightclub there, too, maybe. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's buying up everything down there right now. So I keep telling people, this is a good sign. A multi-billionaire guy just doesn't buy things for the hell of it. I just think that this arena is going to go through, and we just need to keep the faith. Because, you know, my Sonics are going to come back, and at that point in time, we will retire Slick Watts' number here on the Jopra Show, right?
We'll raise it to the rafters.
Right.
We got to install some rafters in here, but
we'll
do it.
We will install. But let me just say this. We're going to go to a quick commercial because we have a lot going on today. After a commercial, I want to introduce you to my main man, Scott Smith. He's the owner of the new nightclub coming to Seattle called Q. You're listening to the Jopra Show at 11:50 a.m. We'll be right back.
If you love dogs, tune in to The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, live every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. We'll talk about everything dog and interview authors, experts, and amazing organizations, both locally and nationally. And don't even get me started on the pet food industry. I'm Julie Forbes. Find us online at www.dogradioshow.com and also as a free podcast on iTunes. The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, an evolved perspective on life with dogs.
For home repair, remodel, and construction advice, ideas, and stories every Saturday at 10 a.m., tune in to Constructing Whatever. With over 40 years of combined experience, hosts Tim and Lynn talk about whatever, from important need-to-know topics to fielding your questions from the latest industry news to humorous stories from the job site. Start your weekend project day with us on Constructing Whatever.
This week, staycation. It's all I've ever wanted. Saturday at 10 a.m.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
More choices, more topics, more shows. One station. Alternative Talk, 1150 a.m.
Well, folks, we got to have a little disco music because the guy I'm about to introduce you to is, he's going to become the king of nightclubs in Seattle in like one fell swoop. He came from New York, small little town, played some football, nose tackle, hit the military, broke legs, and now he came to Seattle with a vision, a quest. And it's great to have him in studio today. I'd love to introduce you to man Scott Smith from the new nightclub Q. Welcome, Scott. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, man. So, Scott, you know, you're a New Yorker. Tell me about the club scene. I mean, you come all the way over to Seattle, but you had a club in Seattle called XL.
Club in New York called XL, right?
Right.
Letter X, letter L.
I like it. I like it.
Well, it was easy to remember.
See? And you had that club for quite a while.
Yeah, I sold it to my partners before I moved out here in 2003, and they closed it down in 2007 after they sold it to Donald Trump's ex-wife, Ivana.
Oh, here we go. Now we got the dirt rolling. I like it. I like it. I like it. And so then 2003, you come to Seattle, and you're like, Seattle needs a nightclub? Or did you like one day wake up and like, I mean, what happened? I mean...
No, my business partner made me an offer I couldn't refuse. The thing about me is I'm profoundly lazy, so I was enjoying being retired all this time. And about 2 years ago, my business partner Andy came to me and he said, you know, what would it take to build what you did in New York, but bigger and better? And I, kind of threw out a number, and he said, well, let's do it. And it sounded like a good challenge to me, and that's what we did.
Nice. And so this Q Nightclub is open up on Capitol Hill. Opening night is September 8th.
Correct.
Saturday night. They're doing a little VIP party on Friday night. And yours truly, the Jopra man, will be in the house on Friday night. And, Scott, I wanted to ask you, so what is, I keep hearing New York nightclub, which is great. I love that. But what makes a New York nightclub in Seattle?
Well, you don't.
Oh, right there.
You don't do that because Seattle's a really unique town, and the New York sensibility, such as it is now, it's a completely different scene than it was even 5 years ago. But you can't do VIP rooms here or velvet ropes here because people don't want to deal with that, right. and I frankly I don't want to do that. That's not what we're about. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we sort of looked at the Seattle aesthetic as far as architecture, culture, music goes, and then we tried to build a room that would essentially a big room mm-hmm. that would essentially be people's living room,
right.
Seattle's living room. When you're in your living room and you've had a little wine or whatever at night on a Saturday and you're all by yourself, You dance in the middle of your living room.
Right.
You know, well, that's what we want people to do in the middle of our living room.
Well, you got to be careful about dancing in the living room because, Lisa Martin loves to dance in the living room. And, just a little bit.
Favorite.
So then, Scott, I like the idea. I did a walkthrough with Scott last week at the Q nightclub. And I'm going to tell you this, folks. I've opened up plenty of bars and nightclubs and lounges in Seattle over my tenure. And I say this. Since Celebrities, and that was back in the late 80s, there has not been a nicer club. This club will shock and awe you in many ways. There's nothing like this in Vancouver, and I've been to San Francisco. I don't know if there's anything like that in San Francisco. So, I mean, they've put their time in. They have spent plenty of money on this, and you will be surprised when you walk in. I mean, they even have it that there's a long line, but it's indoors. They make the entrance an indoor, and they think about all the little things. And I'll tell you this one note. He said to me, that's Scott, we're going on a tour, he goes, open the door. I thought, well, what the hell? Open what door? He said, open the main door. And it's a little thing. This big glass door, 1.5 inches thick, opened up like I could just touch it, and it opened up. It was a beautiful entrance. And I said that. I said, look, little things. And Scott, I mean, are you a little thing kind of guy? I mean, in essence, to the club.
No, I'm one of the worst detail people probably imaginable, but we've got an amazing team. You know, our architects were Bolin Sywinski Jackson. You know, they've designed the Apple flagship store on Fifth Avenue in New York City, the glass cube that's there and so famous. Bill and Melinda Gates' home here in Medina, Seattle City Hall, Pixar Studios, world headquarters. I mean, these guys, are amazing. And the incredible thing about it is, this is their first nightclub. They've never done one before, so they didn't bring any preconceived nightclub notions to the table, which was what we were looking for.
Because you wanted it to sort of come fresh.
Absolutely.
Because this space, now, you got to tell the story. It's a great story about how you found the space. I love this. And could you tell my listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was it was a tragic day. We had another space that we had signed a lease on just up Pike, and we had worked on for the better part of a year, and we found out that there were health and safety issues that were building related, not our space related, that were going to negatively impact our ability to put the club into that particular location. So we had to break the lease. So it was a rainy, sleety December day, and I was just determined to walk Capitol Hill between Pike Pine and 18th all the way down to about 6th, and just see if there were any locations I could find. And I was all done. It had taken me 3 hours. I was soaked. I was walking down the street. I had my head down trying to get out of the sleet. And I was walking by this building between Union and Pike, right on Broadway across from the QFC. And out of the corner of my eyes, I saw this flash of orange and black. You know that orange and black that you see in for rent signs that you buy at Home Depot?
Home Depot signs.
Exactly. And I turned to my left, and there was a hand-lettered phone number on it. And I got on the phone to my real estate broker, and I said, you got to call this guy right now. And 3 weeks later, we signed the lease on the entire building.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And this space is incredible. This was an old auto build place, 8,000 square feet that they're using up. It goes up. And they did a great design. Lots of curves in it. Big bar. I think it's probably the biggest bar in Seattle. I would say.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to hold probably 6 bartenders, and it's really beautiful. The address on that's 1426 Broadway Avenue. Correct. It is across the street right from QFC. One thing I thought about when I was in there is that there's a lot of breaks in the room, which is great. I mean, you have the upstairs lounge, and then tell me about you got the bourbon lounge.
Right. Well, we're from Kentucky. I like to say we've been involved in the bourbon industry peripherally for a couple of generations. That's because my granddaddy spent a lot of time in prison having involved himself illegally in the bourbon trade.
Does this run in the family, Scott?
Well, it does, but we're completely legit now.
Right now.
So so we've got a bourbon lounge tucked away in the corner. It'll hold about 25 people. It's really beautiful, very sort of inviting. A lot of it was designed by Peter Bolin himself of Bolin Sywinski Jackson. We're going to be featuring about 100 plus American bourbons and ryes, whiskeys, stuff from Washington as well. And I think people are really, really, really going to like that room a lot. Well, a lot of people are going to like it, but they're going to have to fight me over one of the chairs because I'm going to be in there all the time.
All the time?
Yeah.
I got that.
Pretty much.
And it is a beautiful room. It is a stunning room, and I'll be hanging out with you up there.
All right.
So let's talk a little bit about the logistics of the club. Is there a dress code?
No.
All right. And New York style. Can I come all in makeup and gear? And,
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely,
yeah. And you're going to go all through the night. So it's what, till 5 a.m.?
Yeah, what we're planning on doing programming wise is, our weekends are probably going to run late. We'll definitely one Saturday night, starting out a month, we're going to be running until people drop, essentially. So if we've got people there at 8 in the morning on Sunday, we're open.
I see. And will you be in the bourbon room at 8 in the morning with me?
No, I'll be at home asleep.
Okay, I just want to get that straight. I mean, and the place is sexy. I mean, I think you always got to build a club that's got that sort of sexy appeal to it, and that's what I loved about it. But tell me about the name.
Well, public consumption. We say that the name was derived from the fact that XL in New York had 2 letters, and so we decided to pare it down to 1 letter because XL works so well. That's basically a lie. The real way that the name came about is because my business partner and I are Star Trek nerds, and we named it after the John Delancey Q character from Star Trek Next Generation. And I don't really want to talk about this. Okay?
And so, what did Q do for you to think that you can have to name a club after him? I mean, was it?
Well, it's the Q Continuum,
Right? There's a connection there.
Yeah, he hooked me up.
That's awesome. And when we talk about that, the Q and everything like this, I mean, are people going to be able to within the program and become like a member, or are they going to be able to come like a VIP? Or is there a way that No, just come as you go.
No, our attitude really is, if Madonna, if she's in town and Madonna wants to come and her people call, she can come.
Right.
That's it.
Is there a door cover?
Saturdays will probably be $5 to $8 depending upon. Fridays will probably be $5 to $8 depending upon the DJ performing. Saturday will be $8 to $10.
Those are good. Those are very reasonable prices.
Well, we don't view our door as a revenue center for ourselves. We view the reason it's called a cover charge traditionally is to cover the cost of performers. Most bars and clubs use the cover charge as a simple revenue center for themselves, but we don't think that's fair to our customers. We can bring in big name DJs, we can charge a fair price for big name DJs and defray the cost of that through our door, and that works for us.
Okay, I like that. I mean, I've been surprised by that. I was thinking maybe it's going to be $15, $20 because it's it's a beautiful place and it's a big time spot.
Well,
I like it though.
Capitol Hill and Seattleites, they don't want to get their pockets picked.
No,
and I don't want to pick anybody's pocket.
No problem. It's bourbon, $14.
Bourbon, $8.
I got you.
For the top shelf.
Cool. And then let's talk about about what's inside. I mean, this was the part I thought that your eyes got big and your energy level even went up more. The sound system.
Yeah.
Now, not just any sound system.
No.
Not just something you found down the street at Bar Greens or anything like that.
No.
The sound system. Probably the best sound system. You said what, in the Northwest?
Yeah, it may be on the West Coast at this point. We'll have to. There's going to be some fighting over that, but I'm going to claim the West Coast.
All right. So, I mean, what is the sound system? Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, the sound system is a Function 1 sound system. It's a big, massive dance stack system that we've flown the speakers. Which means we've hung the main drivers from the ceiling in order to get the best dispersion. Function 1 is a high-end audio company based in Great Britain that specializes in nightclub sound systems and event touring sound systems for bands. And they make what I personally consider to be the finest sound available. People will argue that there are others out there, but I don't think there are. It was installed and designed by Sound Investment AV out of Los Angeles, and we just did our sound check yesterday. The guys from Sound Investment had flown in from Vegas to do the final tuning on the system, and it was stunning. I mean, it's very rare that I'll stand in the middle of a dance floor and have music cause me to almost cry because it just evokes such an emotional response. The sound waves pass through you, and you can physically feel them going through your sternum. But at the same time, the acoustics are so perfect on the speakers that you and I can stand 3 or 4 feet from each other in the middle of the dance floor and have a conversation at this level and be able to understand each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I just looking at it, it looked very impressive, and it's going to drive the place for sure.
For sure.
And then you also took it to another level with the lights.
Oh yeah, my boy Steve Lieberman from SJ Lighting. He Steve does the Ultra Music Festival main stage every year for 150,000 people. He's done it every year for 10 years. He does Electric Daisy Carnival in Vegas every year for 300,000 people. Steve does the biggest nightclubs in the world, and he came and did this. And this is not the biggest by far, even in Seattle, really.
Right.
And he came and did our lights, and they are just spectacular. And he'll actually be operating our lights for us Friday night at the preview event. So we're going to be real happy to have him here.
And you told me, Scott, these lights are so complex that he can use his iPhone, is that correct?
Yeah.
From around the world to just sort of give you a show?
Yeah. The entire lighting grid, there's 388 LED panels, there's 25 moving heads, and there's 47 spotlights. And as Steve put it, he goes, when your guys screw up the lights, and they will, he said, I can get on, if I'm in Korea or in Tokyo doing a job, I can get on my iPhone, reprogram your lighting system, and then run it for you from wherever I am in the world.
That's awesome.
As I said to you here on the Jopra Show, they've taken it to a whole nother level at the Q. You know, Scott, wow, I'm just in awe in every way about this event. So now I heard, your family from, Bourbon Land and everything, that you got your own spirit that you're going to be showing off.
Yeah, we've not officially rolled it out yet. It'll be available at the club. We've got it. Q brand vodka. There's 7 flavors of infused vodka that we're going to be debuting at the club this next Friday. It was developed. We have a food scientist on our staff who worked with Bell Flavors out of Chicago to develop our unique flavors, and we're pretty proud of the product. We think it's going to be really great, and we're going to put it on the shelves around the state and around the country.
Oh wow! Okay, so it's going to go like that. It is the family part of the Q beverage program.
My family, my husband is my moral support,
sure.
And my brother-in-law, his youngest brother is our general manager, and his older brother is our food scientist and flavor developer. Yeah,
keep it in the house. I love that. And now the way the liquor laws are changing, is there going to be bottle service at Q or
they haven't? The SLB hasn't indicated that they're going to change the current law as it's configured. Right now, bottle service can technically be done, but not really, because in order to have it complied with legally, every time somebody wants a drink, a member of the staff has to come over and actually pour the drink for them, which sort of destroys the entire process of why you have a bottle service.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's going to happen sometime soon.
I would assume so, yeah.
It's got to. And then also I believe that in the next year or so, they'll probably pass that the bar is going to stay open until 4.
I agree. I think they will too. I mean, I think it missed it. I think it missed it by it was 2 of the 3 commissioners I think said no, but
I think there was just too much going on at that time, and they just sort of squashed it. Well, I think they'll come back to it because I think it's time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially if you follow the mayor's process of staging the closings, and so that you're not throwing everybody out on the street simultaneously. You don't have a bunch of drunk people going out at 2 a.m. or at 4 a.m. or whatever. I think that makes a lot of sense.
It does, and I think Seattle's getting there. They're ready for that move, and I don't see why not. Let's break up a little bit and ask you a question about Seattle a little bit and about the nightclub thing. You're on the doorstep of launching, I believe, the new idea of how to build a club. I think that you're going to make a lot of people sort of reinvest and relook at how they're building clubs. But, I mean, can Seattle become a good nightclub town?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Foundation's coming in 6 months. Social just opened up a couple months ago down the street on Broadway. Can we get there?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, you got to realize that Seattle's got this just unbelievable musical tradition that, goes back generations. And, I think largely the town sort of became complacent and ill-served by their nightclub operators. They just kind of got in a groove, and it kind of worked for them, and nobody really complained. And I think, it takes is one person to come in, or one group of people to come in and raise the bar a bit. And it's like I've been saying, a high tide raises all boats. And it's like, if you do something good and your public recognizes that you put out a quality product there, then the people who are ostensibly your competitors are going to raise their levels of performance, to match you, to try to match you. And that's good for everybody.
Right.
That's especially in a nightlife community like Capitol Hill and Pike Pine, where it's so condensed.
Very much so. Very much so. And I think that it's true, and I think it definitely will change it. Tell me though, in closing, we got to talk about your DJs real quick because I know you got some people coming to play there.
Yeah.
Sunday night, I heard DJ Riz is coming back.
Yeah, Riz. Yeah, we're looking forward to having Riz on the decks. That's going to be great.
He's going to be performing Sunday nights.
So yeah, Sunday tea dance, which is really cool because the tea starts early. It's kind of, a lot of the straight community is not too familiar with the Sunday tea because it's sort of a gay fixture, and we're planning on introducing it to everybody.
Right.
And so the idea being that you start the party at 3 p.m, and you make it an up happy event.
Ultimate Sunday fun day.
Exactly.
Brunch, drinks,
brunch. Yeah, it's post.
All the single ladies.
It's post brunch. You come in, you drink a bunch, you dance a bunch, and it doesn't cost you a lot. And you listen to some uplifting music from Riz, and then you go home early, and you're not hungover the next day.
Well, I got to think you're going to go watch the Seahawks game. And then you're going to go right after the tea party and just keep it rolling.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Right? That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you this. I appreciate you coming on the show today, on the Jopra Show. And folks out there, September 8th, it all starts. Doors open at what time?
8 o'clock. We're telling people to get there early because it's free.
Get there. It's going to start September 8th. You're going to go to the Q nightclub at 1426 Broadway Avenue. It's going to be the spot. It's a beautiful place, and he's right. Get there early. Get there early on September 8th. Well, Scott Smith, thanks for coming on the Jopra Show today, man.
I appreciate it, man.
I really
it was great
do.
talking to you.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to break, and we'll be right back with my boys talking fantasy football here on the Jopra Show at 11:50 a.m.
Conversations Live with Vicki St. Clair discusses issues that are important to you, like good health and well-being, finding a new job and building your business, overcoming life's big challenges and making sense out of chaos, and living with passion and joy. Join us Mondays at noon Pacific for Conversations Live with Vicki St. Clair. See conversationslive.net for show schedule and guest information.
Do you have legal questions? Need to know where to turn?
Hi, this is Rick Gregrick, your host of Northwest Legal Compass.
Northwest Legal Compass will address your questions on a variety of legal topics, including estate planning, asset protection, real estate and business planning, and more. The legal and accounting staff of Gregrick & Associates are dedicated to providing you with superior legal and tax services. Their integrated counsel is geared to the achievement of your goals.
Visit us on the web at rjglegal.com.
Be sure and tune in every Friday at noon here on Alternative Talk 1150.
While cutting molding with a 12-inch dual compound miter saw, while holding a newborn baby in your arms, when face-to-face with a congregation of alligators, with the ball in your hands and the entire freaking season on the line.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting, so why would you do it while driving? NASCAR driver Casey Kane here, asking you to please stop the text, and together we can stop the wrecks.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Get the message at stoptextstopwrecks.org.
If you love dogs, tune in to The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, live every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. We'll talk about everything dog and interview authors, experts, and amazing organizations, both locally and nationally. And don't even get me started on the pet food industry. I'm Julie Forbes. Find us online at www.dogradioshow.com and also as a free podcast on iTunes. The Dog Show with Julie Forbes, an evolved perspective on life with dogs.
1150kknw.com, your connection to Alternative Talk, 1150 a.m.
Welcome back to the Jopra Show, and if you know that music, you know it's football time. Thursday night tonight, the Raiders versus our beloved Seahawks, and in studio today, I brought a couple cats I've known for quite a while, and fantasy football to them is like godlike. They live it, they die it, they sleep it, And so one day I just sat them both down. And I said, "Listen,
They
it's time."
fantasize about it.
Well, they fantasize. They fantasize about Q also, And so, So then I said, "Let's get on the show. Let's talk a little bit of fantasy football." So I brought in the studio today my main man Corey Ramey and Nick the Quick, man that studies everything, gambles on everything, and they may call him Mr. Las Vegas. So lucky he's man in gambling. But boys, welcome, Nick, welcome Corey. How you doing?
Doing great. How you doing?
Thanks for coming on the Jopra show. I tell you this, guys, we're gonna get right to it today. We're not messing around football wise. QB, Seahawks, Wilson, Flynn.
I think it's pretty exciting that the Seahawks have a young, talented, dynamic QB in Russell Wilson. I think his ability to make the play and have that sort of it factor is the reason that won him the job.
But don't we need a veteran? Don't you need a veteran throwing the ball?
Yeah, you need a veteran, but he won the job fair and square, and I really like that Pete Carroll has competition for every position, which also motivates all the other teammates to feel like, hey, look, if I do my best, no matter if I'm a rookie, no matter if I'm a veteran journeyman who's playing for the league minimum, I still got a chance to play, which I think elevates the whole team.
Right. But, Nick, you're a gambling guy. You bet on everything outside of the weather. Would you be betting on Wilson, or are you going to be betting on Flynn to be the guy to finish the season as that starting quarterback?
I'm going to roll with Wilson.
Okay.
I like Flynn when he picked him up. I thought it was a good pick. But I like what Corey said, too, about Pete, where it doesn't matter how much money he got paid, just his signing bonus to start.
Right.
They're going to play the best player. He looks great.
Do you think this is a publicity move?
No, not at all.
All right.
If you look at Russell Wilson's performance with the first two preseason games with the second team, then he had a chance to show it against KC with the first team going against the other team's ones. Granted, it's vanilla defenses in the preseason, and he made plays. And the way he ran the 2-minute drill at the end of the second half was impressive. And he's never acted like a whole rookie. He really does command the huddle, I think.
That's what I'm talking about. See, and this is why I bring these guys on the show. You can see, late night, they got a cold beer. They're just talking like this the whole time for hours here on the Jopra Show. So let's talk about overs and unders. And let's start first with the beloved Seahawks. 10 wins, boys. They're saying 10 wins in Vegas. Over and under on the 10 wins.
I'm going to take the over.
All right.
See, by a little bit.
By a little bit, Nick? All right.
Just a little bit.
Oh, come on.
So if I'm a betting man, you can't take the 10, so you either got to go over or under. I'd go under at 9-7.
9-7. Come on.
I'm just saying.
The schedule has us playing all the tough teams at home.
Which is great.
And when we play at home, we are always a good 6 more points.
So that's where our defense is on.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let's talk about the Dogs. Dogs are playing up this weekend, over under on 8 wins. Big number.
I'm going to go over again. I like Steve. I like what he's doing.
All right, Steve. Nick Price.
I'm going over because I think you got Keith Price healthy this year with 2 good knees.
Right.
And it really comes down to Sankey and Collier if they pick up Chris Polk's load.
Sure.
And
they got to run the ball.
And you got Ostafarian Jenkins, who's a man-child. I think this is his second season,
Yep.
his sophomore, so he should really do some pretty amazing things.
And I got to think that. I think that's a good play on that. And then, a lot of things are going with the Pirates and Leach and the beloved Cougars. Let's just talk 7 over and under.
I'm gonna go under.
Come on.
I'm UW.
Come on,
I don't watch the Cougs.
Come on,
I don't care what they do. I like
What's
Mike Leach is a good thing, but I don't know, man.
I bring you on the show and you give us a 6.
I got to go under 2. I think the Cougs were a 4-win team without Michael Leach, and now they got Michael Leach. He's going to give him a couple more wins because of his crazy air-it-out offensive style.
So we're saying under 7. Scott, I don't know. Right away, see how they do my show? Mm-hmm. You see how they treat me? See, the Cougars. Let's talk about that. All right, well, I'll say this. I'll tell you this. I think there'll be some surprises this year. I got the Seahawks winning the whole thing, winning their conference. Right there.
Oh, man, I don't know if they're going to get by. I don't know if they're going to get by San
Can
Francisco.
they win the conference? I got them winning the West Coast, no problem.
I think they can. They can win the conference. Win the West Coast is a tall order, especially when you're talking about the NFC.
You've heard it here.
You got to get by Green Bay.
You've heard it here. I didn't pick 6 on the Cougs. You've heard it here.
All right. Are we still betting?
Hey, I'm always betting. Let's talk about, before we get into fantasy football, let's talk about what's going to be the biggest surprise this year in Seattle sports. Is it going to be the Cougs, the Huskies, Seahawks, or the Mariners? What's going to be the biggest surprise? What are we walking away from?
The Mariners in.
Man,
well, at least the Mariners. Oh, come on.
Well, King Felix, if he threw another perfect game, that'd be a pretty big surprise.
Cy Young.
Yeah. If he keeps going the way he's going to win the Cy Young.
All right.
What about the Yankees paying a bunch of money and stealing it from us?
Of course they're going to. That's going to happen. That's how it works in Seattle. You know that, right?
At some point in time. The Yankees always take Tigers.
I don't know.
And Mariners.
Scott, what do you think? What's going to be the biggest shocker this year in sports?
don't really follow sports anymore. I'm a nightclub guy.
I understand. Gotta love it. All right, well, I'll give you a shocker. I'll give you the shocker of the year. Sonics come back.
Love it.
All right, next thing.
Hope so.
Only on the Jopra show did you get it straight. No excuse truth. We just get right to the chase around here. Let's talk fantasy football because that's why we brought you boys in. Now, fellas, I don't want you to hold back here, but I just need a sleeper. I need a guy in the 5th, 6th round who I can pick up and he'll give me some points. I'm in a PBR league, I'm in a passing league. I need to know who I can grab that people aren't talking about. Nick, you got somebody, you got me a wide receiver,
I got
running
somebody
back.
can pick up probably later than for the 6th round.
I like that.
Because receivers deep.
Right. Talk to me, Nick.
And I'm liking Titus Young.
Titus Young?
He's got a lot of good things. Stafford threw 5,000 yards last year.
Out of Detroit?
Out of Detroit.
You're just doing that because Lisa Martin's from Detroit, aren't you?
And I was going to take Titus Young, and Ron Dino screwed me over on the last draft pick.
Ron Dino always screws you.
He does.
We're not going to go that far on that one, but you know what I'm saying. So, Titus Young, I understand. It's Detroit move.
In Megatron, he'll be triple covered.
Sure.
He'll be by himself. He's got wheels.
All right.
Second year in the scheme.
I like it. I like Titus Young. It's a good call.
Maybe 7th, 8th round.
Corey, what do you got for me?
I got to go with Eric Decker. You should be able to pick him up about the 6th round, and I think
wide receiver from Denver.
6'3", 220 pounds. Got you 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns last season,
right?
And this year, I think he's probably going to top 10 with Peyton Manning as opposed to Tim Tebow getting him the ball.
Sure.
You can't even compare those two guys.
Is there
he runs really good routes with great hands, which is the exact kind of receiver Peyton Manning loves. Big, tall guy with good routes, good hands. Peyton Manning's going to look for him in the red zone.
They're hanging out, too, in the offseason.
They hang out in the offseason?
Yeah.
So like a Pierre Garçon or Reggie Wayne kind of like guy?
Yeah.
What?
I like big hands.
Is there a sleeper on the Seahawks? We're talking local. And Lisa's talking about big hands. I don't know. I don't know where this is all going right now. But football-wise, is there a sleeper on the Seahawks that could surprise people, in that late 8th, 9th round?
I like Baldwin again. He had a good season last year.
He had a good last year.
Robert Turbin, because Marshawn Lynch is his workhorse, but I think Turbin might get vulture some of his goal line touches. And depending how Lynch's DUI thing shakes out, that might be a couple games for Turbin if something happens with Lynch.
You think he's going to get suspended?
I don't think so, but I think it's possible.
Yeah. I heard that he wasn't, but you don't know until it happens, really.
Nick, you need to call your people in Vegas and get me some answers.
Yeah, I can make a call real quick if you want and find out what's going on with that.
Step out.
Do your phone thing.
I think Lynch is his lawyer tried to push the court date back a little bit, but if it ends up coming down during the season, who knows what Roger Goodell's going to do.
Turbin looked good in the offseason.
So we got some sleepers. Let's talk about busts. Outside of Terrell Owens, give me some busts. Give me somebody that people are going to pick up in the 3rd, 2nd round and aren't going to pan out. Maybe a first-round pick that's not going to pan this year. Is there an Andre Johnson that's going to have a hard year?
I wouldn't pick Andre Johnson, but I don't say it'd be a bust. If I was to pick someone, I've done some mock drafts, and Frank Gore's the guy I keep on seeing people picking early. And I think they pick him because he has been productive in the past. And name recognition, they'll see him in the latest 2nd round, like, oh, Frank Gore's still available? I got to pick him up. And they drafted Michael James. They got Anthony Dixon already. They picked up Brandon Jacobs.
Break it down for me.
And then also they got, who I really like, Kendall Hunter, who I picked up last year and didn't really pan out. But Kendall has a skill set kind of like Westbrook.
All right.
And you got Dixon and Jacobs doing the same thing and just kind of battering rams. I think they might get rid of one of those guys.
So Frank Gore is going to be the bust.
I think so.
Okay.
His receptions went down from, he had like in the maybe 30s or 40s the last couple of years.
Sure.
Dropped down to 17. Throwing the ball to Manham and Moss now as well.
Right. All right. And Corey, you got a bust for me?
A.J. Green.
A.J. Green?
A.J. Green. Sophomore slump. Big reason is Andy Dalton gets the ball. He's a good quarterback, gets you the ball, but he's not spectacular yet. And it's Andy Dalton's sophomore year as well. And there's just not enough other weapons on Cincinnati to keep teams from loading up on A.J. Green.
Right.
Yeah, Simpson's gone too.
Who isn't that, quite that physical freak that Megatron is.
Right.
That doesn't matter if it's 2 people on him, just throw the ball high and he's going to get it.
But I'll give you a name for a bust. Victor Cruz.
I like Victor Cruz.
He's so cute, though.
He is cute. but he had a great year last year. But everyone's going to eye him this year. He's not going to be able to slip around and do what he did last year.
Well, Victor Cruz had tons of big plays, 50-yard touchdowns, 60-yard touchdowns, and he had like 7 or 8 of those last year, and it's just not going to happen again. Statistics tell you that no one's going to have that many big plays 2 years in a row.
Do you like Dix a lot then? Do you think Nix is going to be top 5 receiver?
I've always liked Eli Manning and the people, so for sure we could do that. I think so. I think Nix would definitely be a big play. I'd take him over at Victor Cruz. I just think they're going to eye Victor Cruz too much.
Who do you have as your second receiver?
My second receiver? Well, that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
All right. Folks, I got a phone call today calling Jopra Show. We're going to go to line 1. This is the Jopra Show. Who are we talking to? Ty, what's happening?
Yo, man, what's up, big dog?
What's happening, baby?
Oh, just sitting here in my Bears gear, thinking about the season.
Stop it. Who you going to pick up first in the first round? Who's your guy?
You want me to give away all my secrets?
Come on. I got secrets happening all around me today. I learned about Q. I learned about big hands. I mean, so what do you got?
Well, I got the number 1 pick in one draft, so I got a real quandary on my hands. But, it's looking like an Arian Foster or Aaron Rodgers draft for me.
Well, and that's a good segue. I mean, talking about first-round draft picks, who is our first-round draft pick this year? I mean, Ty, are you going to take Aaron Foster?
I might.
Or are you going to take Aaron Rodgers?
I'm not going to tell you here today on the phone who I'm taking, but those are definitely in my range. Those are 2 guys that are definitely on the board.
All right. Well, you're teasing me then.
I'd take Rodgers personally.
Well,
right?
I'd take Rodgers.
I think it depends how big's the league where you got the first pick. I mean, because if it's a 10-team league or an 8-team league,
right,
you could take Rodgers and get a good running back coming back down when you're the 20th, 19th, 20th pick. But if you're in a 14-team league, that 28th, 29th pick, most of the good running backs are going to be off the board.
Right.
Where you still might be able to get that second tier of quarterbacks: Matt Ryan, Eli Manning, Cam Newton, Michael Vick.
Sure. And Ty, did you have a question for my gurus, my fantasy football wannabes?
Well, I was actually going to question a few of them. Whoever took the over on the Hawks, I just want to know exactly what your reasoning is behind that.
Nick, I think you had 11.
Russell Wilson looks great. He is a rookie quarterback, and that is a concern. We have one of the best young defenses in the league. I think we'll be the top 5 defenses. If we can get pressure on the quarterback, especially with Bruce, I think we can create a lot of turnovers. I think we'll get a lot of turnovers this year for sure.
Right.
I think we'll do great at home, and like you said too, Joe, all of our tough games are at home.
Right.
Then the Rams, I don't really see them doing much. I am concerned about the Niners, but then again, I think we can beat the Niners. I think we match up.
11 pick. I mean, Tyler, before we take out the phone, I got a quick question. Over or under on the Cougs?
Over and under the Cougs.
7.
Joe,
the number 7.
Boy, you said it at 7.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, let's get the guns out with Mike Leach. I'll go over for you, big
Thanks,
dog.
man. I appreciate it. You can call back. You can call back because you can call back. Well, thanks for calling, Ty. We'll say goodbye to you. Take care, my man.
All right, y'all have a good day.
All right, peace. On the Jopra Show, it's a no-shoot Truth Talk Radio, and I'm telling you today, we're getting straight up with fantasy football in here in the house with my main man, Corey Ramey, and Nick the Quick. All right, guys, if you had the first pick in the draft, let's get through it. First pick in the draft, Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers.
I do have the first pick in the draft in my 14-team league, which is PPR league, and I'm actually going to go with Arian Foster for the reason I mentioned before, is that there'll still be, hopefully, knock on wood, good quarterbacks, that next level of quarterbacks available to me to build a good and get a good receiver, because the receiver class is so deep, so I can have a number 1 option running back, a number 1 option receiver on a team, and a solid quarterback as my first 3 to build upon.
And Lisa, I mean, you were going to take Aaron Rodgers. Why?
Because he looks good.
All right. Good as like on the field or on a uniform?
He looks good in a uniform, good in a suit, nice in jeans, and I'm pretty sure in a nice pair of Calvins.
All right. And do you mostly run your whole fantasy by how cute the boys are?
No, they didn't let me.
Okay.
I had to actually take time,
take notes,
research a little bit this time.
Right. And so I mean, so Aaron Rodgers is off the board. We come back to that number 2 pick. Is it Ray? Is it Mr. Foster? I mean, who's the number 2 pick?
Well, I'd take Rodgers first because I think he's going to put up at least 3 times as many touchdowns as Foster's going to put up.
Sure.
Foster also has 2. He has a new right guard and a new right tackle.
Right.
And I think that he ran a lot more because Shaw was hurt at the end of last season.
Sure.
So I'd go Rodgers. And the second pick, I'd probably go, it was between Brady and Breeze. Because I think they're both going to throw up, comparable touchdowns up in the mid-40 range, a lot of yards. I take Brady over Breeze because I like his weapons a little bit more. And like how Bill Belichick, when they're playing, if they're up by a couple touchdowns, they're not going to just all of a sudden start running the ball. They're going to keep on putting up touchdowns,
So Brady's going to be number 2.
I'd take Brady too.
Well, wait. You took Brady too. Didn't you have Aaron Foster? I mean, Aaron Rodgers number 1.
Yeah.
So you can go back to back.
It's a passing league.
All right. I go with that. I've seen worse. So Corey. I mean, you got running back again then, or are you going to come back and
If I'm coming back down, if you have the first pick and you're in the snaking draft, like most people are coming back down, I'm going probably best quarterback, best receiver, I feel, on the board, and move on from there. However, if we're talking what's the second pick, I had the second pick in the draft,
sure,
and I would probably go Aaron Foster Aaron Rodgers after Arian Foster.
Dang,
Sorry,
there you go.
Forgive me. It's a
because he's
tongue twister.
he's cute. He looks good in Calvin James.
And he looks good in the suit too.
I'm with you. I don't know how both of you passed up on Ray Ray. Ray Ray's gonna have a big year. I'm not sure what
He's number one back.
Too much coffee? I mean, I'm not sure.
No, I have him down around 3 or 4. I think that
3 or 4.
I think Baltimore's really going to use their other weapons this year. You got Torrey Smith, who is fast as heck, and I think
in your league.
I think Joe Flacco's going to be throwing the ball deep more rather than dumping it off to Ray Rice. Not to say that Ray Rice wouldn't be a great number 1 pick for anybody in the top 5.
But that'll stretch it out a little bit too, so they have a little more room to run as well.
Right. Well, we're going to our third pick. Okay, I've just picked up Aaron Rodgers, and some reason I came back and got Brady. So what are you going to do next?
Drew Brees.
Wait. Drew Brees. Where's my running backs?
I just said Arian Foster first.
Oh, man. Yeah, I tell you. Only here on the Jopra show can you get confused. But I think that, Drew Brees is a good move because they're not going to do anything else but throw the ball.
And their defense, their defense is hit because of Bountygate, the whole scandal there. So they're going to be playing from behind a lot.
Right.
So New Orleans is going to be trying to outscore teams.
Outscore teams
rather
in Top
than,
10?
yeah.
It's fast and Superdome too.
Right.
And Drew Brees has about how many weapons?
Right. Quite a few.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Graham's the man.
Better
than the Gronk.
Number 3, Nick the Quick.
Ray.
Ray Rice, out of Baltimore. Stop drinking that coffee. Came back.
Ricky Williams retired too.
Right. Let's do this. Good. I like Ray Rice. I think that's a good move. I think Ray Rice has a chance to be the MVP of the season. You've heard it here first.
Wonder what the odds are on that.
7-1.
Did you just say that? Everybody just stopped staring at you.
Is that right? Does that seem right?
You like that? So we come back to Corey, who's just going through quarterback century over here. And Corey, what are you gonna give me for the fourth pick?
I'm back to the running backs with Ray Rice.
You gonna go with Ray?
Yeah,
all right.
I'm going back with Ray Rice.
I think Ray's a good move. And then for you, Nick, what are you thinking?
I was thinking Drew Brees, but I'm thinking Shady McCoy. I don't think I'll have as many touchdowns as last year. But he's in a high-powered offense, and he gets his touches. I don't even know who the second running back is, the backup.
Right.
I think he'll get his.
Okay. No Michael Vick?
I like Michael Vick, but he's not in my top 5.
Okay. No Michael Vick?
He's fallen far in drafts.
How about Russell Wilson being in the top 5?
No way.
Okay.
You just can't pick. As a top 5 pick, you're not going to pick a guy who's never done it before in the NFL.
Got to be a safe pick.
Safe pick. All right. So we come down to the 5th pick. A lot of things are on the board here now still. We still got a lot of guys. We got Andre Johnson. We got Roddy White. Who's our 5th pick?
My 5th pick comes down between LaShawn McCoy and Tom Brady. And I go LaShawn McCoy. The reason why is Tom Brady's great. Mm-hmm. And if he had a good offensive line and was somewhat mobile,
right,
I might consider picking him the 5th pick.
Right.
But
good point.
He's old and not mobile and doesn't like to be hit. So I just think he's too big of an injury risk, like Michael Vick is, to have him in the top 5.
Right.
Not safe enough bet.
I like that. And before we go to you, Nick, I got a phone call in. My friend Annie just called me, so I got to see what's up because she's a sports nut. She knows her football like Lisa. They go with Q Jeans. Annie, to the Jopra show. What's happening?
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Staying out of trouble.
All right, we're talking a little fantasy football, and Annie's joining us because we're going to talk a little bit about events she's coming up here in about a few minutes, but we'll talk to her about that. But fantasy football-wise, Annie,
I tapped out this year on Fantasy, man.
You like that?
Tapped out.
Oh, you tapped out?
Okay. I get too emotional.
It's okay. Do you know about Q on Star Trek?
No.
No. And do you have cats?
No.
Okay.
I do not.
That's a whole rollerblade?
I don't trust people with cats, Eric.
How about go rollerblading?
Let's not go there.
That's a whole nother story. But listen, let's talk about this real quick, Annie. I mean, do you like Russell Wilson being the quarterback of the Seahawks?
I think it's safe.
Is it safe? Okay.
Yeah.
Should it be safe, though?
I listen to you guys banter back and forth, and I've got to bite my tongue a little bit because I stay true to my teams. I got Patriots and Packers in my pocket at all points in time. But freshly moving here from Denver, it's been interesting to see what's been going on with the Broncos and with Manning stepping up.
Right.
I'm not going to lie, it makes me pretty happy to see the Jets' performance in preseason.
Okay.
That's awesome.
I've been pretty ecstatic about that.
Break it down, Annie. Break it down. Annie, over under on the Cougs. The number 7.
You know I love some Coug action.
Uh-huh. We're going to leave that alone, but what do you think about the football team? What do you think about the football team? Over 7 wins or under 7 wins, Annie?
I'll go over 7.
Okay.
I got faith.
See, my phone people are with me today. I don't know what's going on with the gurus over there, but the phone people are with me. Andy, give me 1 minute. We're going to come back to you because we're going to talk about an event you're having down at Sullivan's tomorrow. So give me 1 minute. We'll come right back to you, okay?
You got it.
All right. Nick, listen, man. I got to ask you. 5th pick. This is it for the breadwinner.
Breeze.
Leaving
Foster out of the top 5.
Wow.
Everyone's high on Foster. I don't know.
I like that, though. It's a strong call.
It's a bold
strong
move.
call. It's very bold.
It's either going to win you the league or lose you the league.
Right. I mean, let me talk fantasy football, guys. How many hours a week are we on fantasy football?
Oh, I'm not too sure, really.
Oh, shoot.
It's been so many years now that I'm saying everything.
So here's what I'm actually a little bit of an insomniac. So there's not much else to do at 2 or 3 in the morning other than get on the internet and do a little fantasy football. So I probably do an hour to 2 hours a day.
You know, because
at night,
my boy Scott doesn't know a lot about football. But I got to think, if he started having an outlet, this could be the one for him. Because, I mean, when he's bored sitting up there drinking bourbon with me up in the bourbon lounge,
right?
We could at least go get on his iPhone and get the trades in play for him. Get his lineup. Or at least I could help him.
And you'll take the bets, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
You feel right at home now, don't we?
And my criteria for picking a team is the same as Lisa's. It's
right.
Like, who's cute?
That's what
we'll get along just fine.
I think you and Lisa do just great on that move.
We'll pick a winning team, whether they win or not.
You guys should co-manage a team until you together.
All right.
And Scott, if you had a fantasy football team, what would you name it?
I'd name it Q.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, on the Jopra show today, Q's going big. Quick question for you guys before we go. Fantasy football, is it slowing down or is it getting bigger?
Getting bigger quickly.
And is it ever going to end? I mean, I got my sister talking to me about fantasy football, and she knows not a darn thing about it.
And that's a great point. It's getting bigger because it's appealing to a broader audience.
Sure.
You get finding wider range of ages as well as it's now starting to appeal to both sexes.
Okay, all right. Getting bigger. Well, guys, you heard it here first today on the Jopra Show. Corey, thanks for coming today. Nick the Quick, I appreciate it. We're going to have these boys back in 4 weeks, and all through the football season, they're going to break things down for us. They'll tell you who to pick up, who to drop, and they'll be back next month. So thanks for coming on the Jopra Show, fellas.
Thank you very much.
We're going to go back to the phone line because Andy's still holding on for me. Andy, how are you?
I'm great, Joe. How you doing?
Sorry to make you wait. We got a couple of minutes left, so we're going to move quick. Andy, you're having a big event down at the Sullivans tomorrow night.
We're having quite a party.
Yes, and I think that, I called you because I said, you got to tell people what's going on down there. So can you tell them what's happening?
Well, Lisa understands, and some of the ladies out there understand 50 Shades of Grey.
Ooh.
And we are supporting that thought process in this town, and we are having a national celebration that is called 50 Shades of Red at 19 of our locations.
Nice.
We are doing it up right in Seattle, so we've got sponsors from Belvedere, Moet, Red Bull, got Audi bringing their hot cars out. And as it stands right now, we've got about 350 RSVPs for the party.
It's going to be a good party.
Yep.
Cool,
Indoor, outdoor, lots going on.
And what, we come to the main entrance of Sullivan's? Is it free to come?
It is free to come.
Okay.
We'll be doing some happy hour martini features in the bar all night long. We'll be doing some complimentary pasta hors d'oeuvres so people can get tastes of our steak and seafood and what we do well, which is our food and our drink.
Right. Nice. And Andy, music, dancing. Is there a DJ? Who's the DJ tomorrow night?
So we will have a trio down in our bar for live jazz music.
Right.
We'll also have DJ Fever coming in.
Nice. I know Johnny Fever. He does a good show. Well, that's good. That's good. And so it starts at what time tomorrow night?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. And do you need to dress up in red or be in the theme look?
We say red attire is encouraged. We're going to be giving out prizes every 30 minutes all night long.
All right.
From some fabulous vodkas and wines, some local spa certificates, gym memberships, and gift baskets.
Mixer
our
kind
grand
of thing?
prizes. What's that?
Is it a singles mixer kind of thing, or?
There are a lot of singles coming, but there's couples, there's spouses. It's going to be a great hoot. I know that there's a couple of the Seahawks that are going to be here, and I know a Mariner or two may show their face.
Excellent. 50 Shades of Red. That's what I'm going to do. I got to come tomorrow night. I'm going to grab my man Scott. We're going to watch a little Star Trek, and then we are going to bourbon up, and then we're going to get down on come down Pike and do our thing here. Andy, sounds
good. Get the Star
good.
Trek done before you come in, please.
And so can people go to a Facebook page? Give them a Facebook page where they can go find all this information.
Well, Sullivan Steakhouse in Seattle. You can look at that on Facebook.
Okay.
That'll redirect you to the actual 50 Shades of Red party page.
Nice. Well, thanks for calling in. I appreciate you waiting. Thanks a lot. So folks, here on the Jopra Show, coming down the stretch, we had a great crowd today. Scott Smith getting ready to open up Q. Congratulations on that, Scott.
Thank
September 8th is going to be the big opener, so make that happen at 1426 Broadway Avenue. And, fantasy football, people, it's in play. You heard the Gurus today break things down, and they were getting serious. They're a little shy on my Cougars, but we're going to straighten some things out when we get off the air, and we're going to do that. Coming up next week, folks, I'm going to have a very interesting show. I'm going to have a couple married women on the show. We're going to talk about the effects of football and how it affects their house. Because if you could have heard them rant in front of me with a couple of martinis in front of them, man, it's going to be good. So we're going to load them up a little bit. Then we're going to send them off to the Q nightclub and let them get their feel on here on the Jopra Show. I'm Joe Janot. This is the Jopra Show, 11:50 a.m. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Take care.